Vampires. Who needs them? Well, apparently it depends on the version. Hey everyone, I'm Necromuncher. Let's draw Glassburn. If you don't know what Glassburn is, I recommend you watch the full playlist linked in the card and the video description. I'll be here when you get back, waiting. For various reasons, other than the fact I sat with my phone on the couch at 2 AM on a work night and started drawing with no capability or thought of recording, today, as you can see, there is no drawing process, and also as you can see, the video is shorter than usual. But you don't care about all that. You clicked on a video titled Vampires and you got a gnarly mosquito man, which is exactly the same, so I don't know why you're so upset clamoring and chasing me with pitchforks and torches. Fine. Not all vampires get to be sexy, slutty, charming, seducing vampires. Only this one. Longtime viewers know I like to play with evolution, making sure things make sense, even if it is mostly in hindsight. So when I started my reimagination process for vampires, I tried to boil them down to their core traits, which is harder than you might think. First thing that comes to mind is blood drinking, but say in Nosferatu, the fact that Count Orlok drinks blood is by far his least memorable characteristic. He enchants and beguiles and spreads disease. He is foretold and feared and desired. He walks in shadow and he is shadow dispersed with daylight. Oh, and he also drinks blood from his victims' chests. That being said, he does drink blood. Bram Stoker's Dracula might be the most classical version of a vampire, being the one who popularized the myth to the Western world. His list of features includes, but isn't limited to, drinking blood, obviously, extreme physical strength, hypnosis, shape-shifting, and controlling various nocturnal animals. I could go on listing many other vampires, but I want to pull the focus back to my charming mosquito cryptid. Other than being a terrifying human-sized insect, the Glassburn Vampire most prominent feature is that it drinks blood, and thus entirely parasitic, something not a lot of vampire myths address. It has two big pincers for locking onto its victim, and a circular mouth with sharp teeth to break the skin and drink that sweet iron juice. Its belly is normally just a regular looking insect abdomen, but much like the honey ant, the vampire's abdomen stretched when full to the point it becomes transparent. But how does this large, flying creature even spend enough time to slurp that much blood? That's where my adaptation for the Sims Vampire and Dracula comes in. Instead of hypnotizing the victim, the Glassburn Vampire will fly, get near when their target is asleep, and slob powerful anesthetic over the poor soul's face. Since the anesthetic is a part of the vampire's spit, when biting into their victim, they ensure they won't get up anytime soon. Like vampire bats, leeches, and mosquitoes, the Glassburn Vampire's saliva also contains an anticoagulant that would make the drinking easier and not have any chunky bits. Sorry, I just threw up in my mouth a little bit. Where did it come from? I'm a floating skull, I don't even have a stomach. Anyway, much like mosquitoes from our world and most other biting creatures, the Glassburn Vampire is known to spread disease, mostly due to spending time with lots of friends in lots of places. You can easily see how the myth of a nocturnal creature with hypnotic powers and a hunger for blood might spread throughout the people of Glassburn living in wetlands and near swamps. This actually touches another aspect I took from mosquitoes when thinking about vampires. Mosquitoes lay their eggs in still water, then the larvae evolve to swim before turning into full-on flying, buzzing annoyances. I wanted Glassburn Vampires to have a similar life cycle, with a terrible, nightmare-inducing twist. This part of the video deals with limited amounts of body horror and all manner of unpleasant things, so if you're sensitive, I'd recommend skipping to this timestamp. Sometimes, instead of leaving their victims lying where they were, bleeding slowly under a chemically induced short-term coma, the vampire will instead grab their meal to go. The pregnant vampire spit will produce more anesthetic than usual and will have a special ingredient mixed inside: Islium. The Islium injected into the victim's still living body will heat up just enough to help the vampire carry it away using her long and surprisingly strong limbs. She will then place the victim in a body of stale water and suck almost all of their blood, letting them drown and bleed to death. Then, she will inject her eggs into the fresh puncture wound of the corpse and let the eggs mature to hatching. By the time the corpse is bloated and rotten, the larva will already be burrowing through its flesh, gaining mass and eating to full size. The larvae are cannibalistic, and usually no more than 2 or 3 will survive to grow out of the water. But 2 or 3 vampires are more than enough to terrorize any village. The Glassburn Vampire is then also avoiding running water, surprisingly strong, and is the embodiment of life out of death. The last feature I felt was important is being hard to kill. Well, for starters, I'd imagine it being hard to fight while asleep, as the vampire is using its anesthetic spit defensively. But additionally, their diet is highly composed of iron, which is incorporated into their exoskeleton. Here I took inspiration from one of the coolest named bugs, the diabolical ironclad beetle, which has one of the hardest, if not the hardest, exoskeleton among insects. As far as I could understand, their shell isn't actually made of iron, so imagine if the vampire had that same technique of interlocking layered exoskeleton down to the microscopic level, but also with iron embedded in it. They'd be tough as hell. Maybe tough enough to spread a myth about stabbing them in the heart to kill them, since all other points in their body are impenetrable. That's it for today. I hope you liked this focused delve into the lore of this mosquito cryptid. As I'm proceeding with the process of attempted growth, it's time again for 2 fruits and a seed. I explained the process at length in a previous video, but in short, these are 2 things about my process that are worth keeping and one that has left some room for improvement. Keeping it short, today's first fruit is the creature design process. I wanted to make something unique that would capture the essence of the familiar vampire, and I think I managed to do so quite well, by boiling it down to its core and refining it to my twisted vision. Second fruit is perseverance. Despite the circumstances which some of you might be aware of, I drew something. I managed to sit and draw as something that relaxes me and not as a chore. The seed for today is planning. As you saw, or rather did not see, there is no footage of the drawing process. I can blame it on the circumstances, and I do, but I'll make a note for myself to try and plan my time better so I can record, edit, and get to a final result I am pleased with. Thank you everyone for sticking around with me on this diet episode of Glassburn. If you want to support the channel so I can continue to make stuff up and have the opportunity to improve, you can like, subscribe, and share this video to your friends or foes. It's free, and it would really help me out. There's also a bell. It presumably does something. Anyway, thanks again for watching. Tell me in the comments what you want to see next. And for now, bye!